But it is depressing. Like that, if you just, that fact is depressing if
Yeah.
you think about it.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't know if you remember my personal theory on like the link between anosmia and depression. I don't know if you remember me
Mhm.
talking about that before.
Yeah, you did talk about it. You want to tell everyone a little more about it?
Yeah, I mean, sure. So as we were describing, like I think that out of all your senses, and I, when I was reading your article, your blog post, there was a couple of other articles written by other people with anosmia, and one of them was this mother or mother to be that was also anosmic, and she was sort of expressing her frustration with people who, when you tell them, "Oh, I have anosmia," the other common thing people say is, "Oh, well, if you could choose one of your senses to lose, you'd probably lose that one, so it's not that bad." And they'd probably say like, "Oh, well, at least you can still see. At least you didn't lose your sense of sight or hearing, right?" And she was sort of
Mhm.
expressing how like, "Oh, it's just so it's easy for people to just like say that off the cuff," but um, yeah. So like my in my opinion, so out of the five senses, smell is probably one of the most, if not the most intimate, because it's linked with your, that thing that we have to do to live, which is breathe, right? So the way I describe it is it's just more pleasurable for people that can smell to breathe, and so what I mean, I guess I couldn't really do this when I was on your podcast because it's just audio. But if you imagine a graph, right, and the y-axis is like, say up here is something that smells really really good, and down here is something that smells really really bad, and then the x-axis is time moving forward. So I guess you could do this. So this could be 24 hours in a day, or throughout your week, or throughout your month, whatever it is. Let's say within a day, right? When you go to work, maybe if you walk to work, there's a bakery on the way and you smell something nice, and then you go to the subway in New York and it smells really really crappy, right? But then you have this line where it's fluctuating, it's going up and down. You smell something good, oh, it's pleasant. You smell something bad, it's not pleasant. But that sort of impacts and stimulates your brain, and sort of it pulls your mood up and down in a way, I think, right? When you're smelling something nice versus when you smell something bad. But at the very least, you have this sort of activity that's fluctuating up and down throughout your day. um, but for people who can't smell, it's sort of like just this stagnant line, right?
Right?
Because we're not getting that stimulation, and it's sort of like, if you imagine a heart monitor, it's just like
Mhm. Yeah.
as opposed to a healthy like up and down, right?
It's a good point. It's a good analogy.
Yeah, that's what. And the other analogy, of course, is you know, if you could only see shades of black and white, and then out of nowhere you just see color. For them, that's the way I experienced my first time being able to smell. But then for me, it was sort of taken away from me again. So I'm not a religious person, but I was joking with my friends that it was just almost like God just being like, yeah, here, I'm teasing you with it, and I'm just taking away from you, you know?
Right?
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, those are good analogies of like the heart rate graph, and then obviously, I always think the one about color is a really good one because
yeah,
it is like your existence is muted
yeah,
from what other people experience. It's like if you are, um, yeah, it's like if you're blind and you can't see anything at all. Obviously, that's the you can't appreciate certain things in life, and that's just how it is.
yeah,
Like you don't know what purple means,
yeah,
you don't know what green means. Like people can try and explain to you, like, oh, it smells like this or it smells like that, but if we take it over to the vision analogy, like how do you describe purple?
yeah. I
It's
don't.
really hard.
Yeah,
So, and with especially with smells, I think our vocabulary for smell is really poor. We usually describe the way that things smell in terms of other smells.
yeah,
So, like, what does citrus smell like? Oh, it smells like an orange.
yeah,
Okay, well, what does an orange smell like? Oh, it's like citrusy.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It doesn't do it for me. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's really hard to describe smells. It's hard to describe colors. It's difficult to describe things that people haven't experienced before. And to your point with like the black and white TV, um, vision wise, for me now, that's how it is for like food.
Mhm.
Like food is in black and white TV,
Yeah.
whereas beforehand it was like color TV.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
One of the phrases that I've heard is, I don't sense that you're letting go of like a victim mentality. And I don't know, it's just like very often for people to, very easy for people to sort of just say that, right? Um, and going back to how like anosmia can tie to your mental health. Yeah, I just think that like people that can smell, like they're so lucky to be able to have that like every day, like whenever they eat, that they could just like experience that, like, and because that
Mhm.
first time that I smelled, it was, this might be a little like, it's not dramatic, it was almost like orgasmic. All right, like, because it was
Right.
just so much more to it, and it's tied to, that thing that you have to do in order to live, which is breathe, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I completely agree that people should be a little more considerate. Describing have your favorite foods changed from before you could smell versus now? Because maybe like what you